We have another episode of Conversations about Integrity. I'm always quite excited. I love this subject, and I find it because it's so complex, actually, as you also already mentioned in the emails that we've been exchanging before. But I'm looking very much forward to hear from you. I will just introduce you for a moment because not everyone knows who you are. I'm talking to, and now I have to pronounce your name correctly.
Be brave.
Dora
Mołodyńska.
Mołodyńska. Like
perfect.
That?
Yeah, perfect.
Dora Mołodyńska. Who I met 2005 when I at this course called with a title Intercultural Dialogue in the Local Context.
Sure. In Strasbourg.
Yeah, in Strasbourg. And since then we've met sometimes here and there and had very nice conversations, and I found that the work that you do quite inspiring every time I heard about it. So I'm very happy that you talk with me today. So Dora is the initiator of the Human Library in Poland and also head of training in Human Library Organization for Europe and North Africa. Yeah,
that is true.
And the Human Library is an organization that's fostering appreciation for diversity and dialogue, like enabling dialogue for minorities is something that you told me.
That is also true.
And you also do, I think, intercultural communication workshops or something like this, no?
Yeah, I now actually teach even at the university a subject that is called intercultural communication. And I occasionally do some workshop on intercultural issues and diversity, human rights, racism, hate speech, all around this topic. Yeah.
Yes. So I think great start. So I always start with this question, but I have a couple of questions. Let's say like this. I have a couple of questions that I like to ask as a starting point, and then we will see where our conversation leads us. So I'm welcoming you to also ask me questions if you have any, or that we can just have an actual conversation. It doesn't have to be you have to give yes and no answers, and then that's it.
That's it.
So the question that I start with, and I like to start with, is really broad question of whether you have a concept of what integrity means for you.
To be honest, before you asked me, I have not even been thinking about it too much. You know, I mean, of course, there are times in my life when more or less integrity is needed, but I would never like use the word integrity. I guess it's a big word for me. It's like it's like, I don't know, identity, you know, like this, or culture, like this big concepts that that in like regular life I don't really call some feelings I have like that. So maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I would rather use like honesty, or like being myself, or feeling myself, trying to be myself, trying to be true or authentic. I think this is what I would say, but integrity sounds strong.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I think why I'm doing these conversations is because I find that it's such a strong term, and somehow for me, it's very dear, but it also can become a bit abstract sometimes. So I'm trying to do exactly this, like explore with people how is this in life instead of in theory. So honesty or being true to yourself, authenticity.
Yeah.
How? So what does that mean then for you?
Oh, I didn't know it's gonna be that tough. I mean, it's both in personal and professional life, and I think like privately, it's a very intimate topic to speak about, but like professionally, how the integrity shows is, you know, I'm working with human rights. I'm working with people from minorities, people who experience discrimination, who sometimes experience violence because of who they are, and trying to do like education work, like human rights work, and work with the minorities means that sometimes you as organizer face some difficulties as well, because people question the sense of what you're doing, or why would anyone like contribute financially to organizing such things? Why would we challenge people to be more accepting? And in this way, like to be true to myself means that sometimes when it comes to choices who we work with, I need to sometimes say no to people who try to press me to exclude. I'm not sure if it's clear if I explain it in that way, because the concept of the human library is that we offer meetings with people from minorities, from different minorities, but to individuals, you can like borrow such person as a book for half an hour conversation. And it's every now and then that, you know, some institutions or schools or donors try to influence who these books should be, and try to exclude some people from our project. They don't want to invite some books, right? Some people. So in such situations, being true to myself means that, well, it's sometimes really difficult, but you need to be kind of clear on what you're doing. I mean, if you're doing the human rights project, you cannot allow any exclusion. And it's really difficult sometimes, because for example, with schools, it can completely shut the door for the project for years. It could happen without some books, without some people being invited. But if you really stand, no, we are not letting anyone go. We either we do this together, or we don't do this at all. It sometimes ends up in okay, then at all. And it's the same when I'm training new organizers from Poland or from other countries, and they face the same dilemmas. And sometimes I need to really be very strict and be very not flexible about what is allowed and what is not allowed. Like there were organizers of the human library who who would agree to exclude some books because they liked the project, they wanted to do this, they got the money and so on. And I need to then approach them and say, listen, you cannot do this. And like, it's very hard to see someone's enthusiasm and like energy somehow, and I have to do this. I have to kind of limit what their actions, and I don't like these moments, but in the same time, like it's what it's right. It's what's
it's like finding the balance between making something possible and grow, and like something that's so important.
Yeah.
And at the same time staying strong and taking the consequences, I guess, no, with when you stay strong.
Yeah. It does happen that, you know, people are not happy with me. Because if I'm trying, maybe now it fits. If I'm trying to keep the integrity of the project and keep its values and its directions and its goals, then sometimes it results in people leaving, or people not being happy about it, or people saying I'm too strict, I'm not flexible, I need to understand. And yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a kind of like, do you have a physical sensation that you associate with either having the sensation that you're true to yourself, or that you're really able to be honest, or also do you have a sensation that you associate with there's something a bit shady or a bit iffy?
Very much. Like I'm operating on on difficult sensations basically in my body. I think it's very strong. Like when I feel that everything is all right, that it's right, just this right. That it feels like warm and calm, and even though I might be like mobilized and energetic inside, I feel very calm, like very peaceful. And and the radar for things that are not right is immediately there. Like it's this kind of anxiety and this kind of like
there's, it looks like you're kind of almost pulling your shoulders together,
like
smaller or something,
kind of tension.
So you already touched a little bit on how you like moments in your work life, and if you're willing to share, are there any moments in everyday life that you find are like can be challenging, or where you want to be true to yourself but it kind of needs this intention again and again? Because I'm asking this because I find this is the place where we are, most of our lives is everyday life, right? And we all have these like wow moments and like really amazing things, but in a way we're all navigating everyday life. And you even also mentioned in your email before that even just the political situation in your country, or our countries, all of us, kind of also influences how we live. And so I'm curious how you navigate there, if there are moments.
I mean, with the political situation, mostly influences my work, because if democracy is challenged, then the education is challenged. If the education is challenged, the human rights education is challenged. And this is where I feel it very strong, like in the work. But now when you mention like in the private life, I realize that like I have it a lot with kids. because I have two daughters, as you know, and I think these girls are really they are amazing triggers to constantly kind of evaluate whether I'm with myself and if I'm true to myself or if I'm just playing a role of a mom, you know. And it's probably every day that I experience it when I don't know, when there is a time when they are relaxedly playing or we are reading and I hear like a voice in my head saying, oh, we should be going to bed, it's getting really late, I should be, you know, not allowing them to stay that long up, and we have things to do and blah blah blah. Like it's this, somehow it like triggers all this list of things what I should say and how I should be and how they should be. And but it feels like kind of as an external thing, but when I somehow like relax and just when I'm just in the moment with them, it feels just real and true, and so good for them and easier in the same time, because when I act on that voice saying, okay, you have to do this and that, it somehow introduces this tension and the pressure on me and then on them, and then it's like a struggle to bring them to bed or something. But sometimes it just needs like 5-10 more minutes of like, okay, just let it go, just, you know, forget about what needs to be done, just enjoy and relax and observe. And sometimes it's just naturally that this moment is just fading away and they are ready from themselves to be finished with playing and with reading and just very calmly go to bed. But it's like I'm not saying I'm like some super mom that is super chilled and always listening to, you know, her heart and blah blah blah. No, I'm not like that. Of course I'm like giving into, you know, the pressure, and I'm thinking, oh my god, there's still this and that to do. So it's not that I always choose the thing I feel. Sometimes I choose the thing I hear. Right. But yeah, I think with kids I often experience these moments of decision.
I found interesting, like that you mentioned that this is in a way contrasting being yourself or being a role in a way, right? To because I haven't thought about it before, but I think it makes so much sense. Like there are so many roles that we can play in our lives, no? Also, I don't know, with our parents, we might end up sometimes in the role of a daughter, or with I don't know, someone else. There might be different roles that we have, and it's I don't know. This reminds me of the Shakespeare play, As You Like It. At the end, there's an epilogue of the woman, Rosalinde. She says something like, the whole world is a stage and we're all just players. And then it goes on and on. But I've just like for the first time now, I thought, yeah, but it's like when we play and we don't have this distinction between us and the role or us and the moment. And then it can maybe feel like we're whole or we're
one.
Yeah. And on the other hand, sometimes they can also be helpful, no, to have these roles when you are stepping into something new, for example, and you're like, no idea what to do, or
I mean, they probably help to navigate, but in the same time, I don't think I feel relaxed in such moment. I mean, they help, but it's still a kind of fake or staged
Yeah.
situation inside.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have a sense for when it is easier for you in these evenings? What makes the difference if you are hearing more, or if you manage to connect to actually being there as you?
I think it's actually a lot how I've been treating myself the whole day. I think when I listen to myself and my needs, and when I treat myself with the same easiness and understanding for, you know, like, then I'm more willing to give it as well somehow to my kids. Like, and I can also see people in them and not only kids, you know. They also see behind this role and see that they have the same needs for sometimes doing just be in a moment and do what they feel like they want to do. It's, and sometimes when I think it is somehow connected, that when I'm somehow treated unkind during the day, or being pressured, and I feel I'm pressured, I don't feel like doing something, but there is like email after email, can you send me, blah blah blah, and I feel like I don't really feel like that now, but I will do it. So when I'm pressing myself, then I think it's also somehow translates into the structures between me and the girls.
Yeah. Do you have a kind of a practice that you do for yourself, or anything that you use in order to come to this state of being kind to yourself, or feeling more true?
Well, it took a while. I think, yeah, it took me around like a year, over a year to first of all, I changed a job and now I'm a freelancer. I feel that this fits my personality and schedule much better. That somehow this being from 9 to 5 was just making me being under pressure constantly, and this really didn't fit well. And this was one thing. This was like a structure, the basis. Then I started to read a lot, and it really, like a lot, like every, I don't know, 2 books per week or something.
Oh, wow.
It became such a nice habit, and it's everything. It's novels and some documentaries and philosophical books and very easy stories. It doesn't really matter. It's just about the habit of sitting down simply, and not scrolling anything, not having anything outside in my view, like from the outside, not like someone else's life, someone else's problems, someone else trying to talk with me, even if it's nice, but it's still like a interaction. And reading really calms me down. It really also helps me to practice this, just focusing on one thing and just being with myself and with what I'm reading. And it is experiencing something else, and it is experiencing like being in a different world, but it's kind of like immersing myself in one thing, and it's been really helpful. And yeah, so I'm still doing that. Like I started this to read more intense like a year and a half, and it's been really like one of the best things that I like, the best habits that I kind of started at that long time ago. And like for a month now, I started to do yoga, which is a very different experience for me because I'm very like mental person. It's very difficult for me to concentrate on my body and to even find the body important. Like to give importance to the body and what's happening with the body, but I'm enjoying this so much, really. Like I now only see how I underestimated the role of focusing only on the movement, on breathing, on I'm not even sure what. Like there is nothing really actually what I'm focusing. I'm just doing. Maybe just that, focusing on doing, not even thinking about something, just surrendering kind of to movement. But it's not that when I get flustered, I get my yoga mat and I do yoga, you know. Yeah, I would like, maybe, I don't know. I will see how it develops and if I'm actually ready to reach for those calming solutions whenever I need them and not just as a regular thing during the week.
It's interesting though, because it's in a way you are describing like setting your life up in a way that it can hold you as who you are, rather than having like emergency drops of, okay, now I need a yoga hour or something like this, but rather looking at, okay, how can your work structure be in a way that you feel and move in it as authentic or honest to yourself as possible, and how can you build this time into your schedule that is helping you or allowing you to kind of be connected to who you are or what you were thinking. And then I wonder if we were all to look like, if this is what our approach would be in general, more like rather than look at how can we solve problems when they've arisen, like how can we build structures that actually allow for people to grow in and move in and interact in with as much kindness or as much freedom to be themselves as possible.
It's not always easy. Like there is always some cost that you're paying, right? And being a freelance also gives you maybe at times bigger stress, financial stress, the instability, the troubles, something that people with more regular structure maybe don't experience that intensely. So it's not that all, you know, relaxed and great and everything fitting and, you know, like puzzles. Now life is cool. But I think it's a matter of how well you can control the difficult parts, because they appear, whatever structure you choose, there will be always those difficult moments. But I think it's just, I think I'm just dealing better with this occasional higher stress than permanent stress of like fixed hours. And I think it also depends simply on your family support, because well, I'm lucky enough that I can allow myself for this freelancing, but I of course realize that there are different people with different social nets that can support that, and some just simply cannot maybe so easily choose the structure that would fit them best. And they need to somehow find their way in whatever they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure there are also people who appreciate more to be in rather have a stable everyday structure and not have these peaks.
Yeah,
that we know as freelancers. So yeah, it's not about saying, okay, one version of it is the one that offers you integrity and the other one is like you're selling your soul.
yeah.
It's obviously more complex than that. And I guess like part of this whole thing is, as we also said in the beginning, it's like finding this balance between like moving forward as humans as we are, like also probably making mistakes and afterwards noticing, I should have done this differently, or you know, things like that. But finding a way how I can be in this with myself, or how can I live with myself in this, I guess.
Yeah.
So for the final question, I always ask if you have anything that you would like to share with the audience as a kind of tool or a trick or a practice that they can experiment with or play with that you find useful in everyday moments of like, integrity, something.
I'm not very good in advising, you know. I like this quote from The Lord of the Rings on advice. Like advice is a dangerous thing to give, because
so if it's not advice, but instead an invitation to experiment with something, instead of anyway, you don't have the answer for other people's lives.
Yes. Yes.
But something that you enjoy that maybe someone else would want to try.
I think what I remember when I was still kind of more flustered than I am now, and what helped me to be a little less stressed and more calm was like I always said, I was always trying to, maybe I should do running, maybe I should do yoga, maybe I should do this or that, and I was always telling myself like, yeah, but you don't really have time for it. You always should, you know, do something productive or work or like focus on this and that. And then I just sat down and I calculated, okay, so how many hours is that actually that we are talking about? And then I realized, okay, this is like 3 hours or 4 hours of a week that I'm not spending, I'm investing in my health, in my well-being. And when I looked at it that way, I thought like, okay, you can do this, you're entitled to that. Like I allowed myself that, and that helped me a lot to actually change that thinking from, oh, I have to do something, to no, I'm like investing in myself. I'm doing this for myself. I'm not wasting time. I'm like, and it's the same with eating healthy and going for a walk or something. I think maybe I and maybe other people are caught in this pressure of we need to be productive. We always need to be somehow like giving something, producing something, seeing the result. And it, at least for me, this was really keeping me back. But once I thought, it's okay. Like I can't just do nothing. It's it's okay, it's healthy, it's good, then it really helped me. So what I could share, just like allow yourself for non-productivity. It's really necessary.
I like that, and I also like the way that you started. It's almost being very productive or very efficient about it, and actually calculating how many hours. So still going from the productivity realm into the okay, and then having some time, because I noticed too for myself, sometimes it does help to look at, okay, how if we make this more concrete instead of kind of feeling around, it feels like I don't have time to say, okay, how much does everything take, if this is the argument that in my head that keeps me from doing something. Yeah, okay, allowing for non-productivity. I love it. Is there anything else you would like to add, or a question that you have?
Not right now.
Okay, good. Because then I would just say thank you for having this conversation with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
It was very nice.
And yeah, I look forward to see you in some other space again.
Yeah, you're always welcome.